Yes, children. So finally, we understood that in the third estate, the people, the many educated and administrative people were there. So those people, the educated and those people believed that no group, either the clergy, either the nobility people, no group in the society should be privileged by birth. By birth itself, no group should be privileged or get the advantages. Okay, see, rather a person's social position must depend on his merit. So instead of giving by birth the privileges or the position should be given based on the merit. Okay, based on the depend on his merit or the talent what he will be having. So based on that, the person has to be divide based on his merit to the social position, not by the birth. Okay, that was the what? Yes, that was the idea the middle class people were revolting against. Okay, see here. So this ideas envisaging a society based on freedom and equal laws and opportunities for all. So these kind of ideas were, the forecasting, or they were predicting a society based on the freedom. So as we know, the main idea of this French Revolution was equality and the freedom. So finally, this was based on the freedom and equal laws and the opportunities for all, because no group should be discriminated or no group should be given the advantages, were put forward by philosophers such as the John Locke and the Jean-Jacques de Rousseau. So finally, these two philosophers. So this is very much important, children. What is the role of philosophers in the French Revolution? So this is very much important question. Just remember. So finally, these people, they gave the idea that, envisaging, that is the forecasting idea. They started to predict a society based on the freedom and equal laws and the equal opportunities for the all the people. Okay. Yes. See here. The next. In his two treatises of government, the Locke sought to refute the doctrine of the divine and absolute right of the monarch. So here in his book, the Jock's books, finally the Locke, the Locke sought to refute the doctrine of the divine and absolute right of the monarch. So the finally what the the absolute power or the absolute right, the single power which has been given to the king, that is what the monarchy, right? The one person will be ruling the entire country with his single power. So that has been opposed by his ideas. Okay, that means finally the equal opportunities to the people should be given. So the final, the doctrine, the ultimate power should not be given to the single person. Okay, that is what he has, explained in his True Treatises of the Government in his book. Okay, hope you guys understood, right? That means the Locke sought to refute the doctrine of the divine and absolute right of the monarch. That means no person or the monarchy should not have given the ultimate power to the single person. Okay, that was his main idea. Okay, the single power or the ultimate power should not be given to the single person. Okay, see here. The Rousseau carried the idea forward, proposing a form of government based on a social contract between people and their representatives. So finally we have seen that, the first point we have seen that, the power should not be, the doctrine of divine should not be given to the single power, that is the monarchy. The restriction to the monarchy has given. And the one more thing, the Rousseau carried forward his idea that, the form of government based on social contract between the people and their representatives. So the representatives and the people should have a contract. That is the second idea we could have seen by the whom? Philosophers. Okay. And then in the spirit of the laws, in the book Spirit of the Laws, the Montesquieu proposed a division of power within the government between the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. Guys, do you remember this pattern where we have studied this? Yes, we have seen in our democracy. Yes or no? The democracy, the powers has been divided into two ways, the vertical and the horizontal way. So finally here we can see the horizontal way, the way of power has been divided. The legislative, executive, and the judiciary. All the three will be having the equal rights. Okay, this idea has been proposed by the Montesquieu. Okay, finally we understood about the ideas of the philosophers. Okay, the doctrine divine, the ultimate power should not be given to other, the monarchy. The power of the monarchy should be limited. That is one idea. And they should have a contract between the, yes, representatives and the people. That is one idea. And the one more idea proposed by the Montesquieu is the government, the power of the government has to be divided in the divisions based on legislative, executive, and the judiciary. Okay. Yes, children. So finally what happens? This model of government was put into force in the USA, that is United States of America, after the 13 colonies declared their independence from Britain. So do you guys remember the 13 colonies? Yes, that is the Louis XVI was helping this 13, the American colonies to get independence from the Britain, the common enemy, Britain. Yes or no? So finally, after this American colonies got independence, they started to follow the same method. That is, the powers were divided among the legislative, judiciary, and the executives. Okay, so the same method has to, this idea has been followed. This model of government was put in the USA, that has been influenced even the France people. Okay, see here. The American Constitution and its guarantee of individual rights was an important example for political thinkers in France. So the idea, the constitution and the rights which has been used in the USA, the model which has been used in USA, that has become a important idea or an example to the thinkers in the France, the people with who were struggling to get the freedom or equality in the France. They started to see USA as an example and they started to strive towards the independence. Okay, they started to struggle or revolt against the king and they were expecting the equality among the people. Okay, yes children, see here. The ideas of these philosophers were discussed intensively in salons and coffee houses and spread among people through books and newspapers. So finally what happened children here? The ideas, whatever the ideas which has been given by the philosophers, what they have been told, the power of monarchy should be limited. That means they have to limit the power of the monarchy. And then yes, the contract between the people and the representatives should be there. And then the power of the government has to be divided, that is into three sectors, that is legislative, executory, and the judiciary. Okay, so these ideas of the philosophers started to discuss by the people. Okay, the people started to discuss about the ideas of the philosophers, how it's going to helpful for our future, how it will be better for the future. Okay, future, the betterment of the society. So finally they started to discuss in the common places where the people will be gathered. Okay, like saloons, like coffee shops, where all the people will be sitting together and they used to discuss among all these ideas of the philosophers. So through the books or through newspapers, okay, that time and all we could have not seen that much social medias like now. So that time and all only the books and newspapers were spreading the maximum ideas and the news. So finally through books and the newspapers, the people were started to getting this ideas of the philosophers, and they started to discuss these ideas in the the common areas where they used to gather, like salons, they like coffee shops, like houses, and like a street ends where they used to sit and discuss all those areas. Okay, yes, see here, these were frequently read aloud in groups for the benefit of those who could not read and write. So as we have seen that in the third estate, only the few people were educated people, few people were merchant, few people were prosperous. The rest everyone were, yes, the uneducated people who doesn't know to read and write. So for the advantage or for the benefit of those people, these newspapers or the books or the magazines were read aloudly. So if they are reading aloud, at least they can listen and understand what is the ideas of the philosophers. Okay, so that is the reason they used to read the newspapers and the magazines or the books aloud, to make even the uneducated people to aware about the ideas of the philosophers. Okay, hope you guys understood, right? Yes, children. See, the news that Louis XVI planned to impose further taxes to be able to meet the expenses of the state generated anger and protest against the system of privileges. So finally what happened? Again, whatever the ideas of this Louis XVI, because why Louis XVI was increasing the taxes? Because to meet the expenses, because he has to pay the interest on the 2 livers, the million livers, whatever the the amount which he has taken the loan, and he has to maintain his the Versailles, whatever the empire, and he has to maintain the court, and he has to maintain all his the works. So that is the reason finally he wanted more and more money. So to meet those expenses, he started to impose more and more tax on the people. So that burden has made the people to get angry, and they started to protest against the the system of privileges. Okay, the advantages which has been given to the first two estate people, they started to revolt against them. They started to protest against the system which has been framed by the Louis XVI. Okay, see here. So guys, hope you understand the concept. In today's class we have understood about how the middle class people or the third estate people started to protest against the the privileges which has been given to the first two estate people. Okay, see here. Which social group emerged in France in the 18th century? Who emerged? Of course, the middle class people. Yes or no? So the middle class people, they emerged together in the year of, in 18th century to revolt against the privileged people in the society. Okay, and then what did John Locke write in his book Two Treatises of Government? What has written, children? Yes, the doctrine, the divine of the society, that he has written about the monarchy. The monarchy has to come to an end. That you have to remember. And who wrote The Spirit of the Laws? Who has written this book? That you have to explain. And then what did became an example for political thinkers in France? What has become? Of course, about the USA's, the constitution and the rights which has been given. That has become as an example to the France thinkers. And how did philosophers influence the thinking of the people of the France? So you have to explain about all the points, about all the philosophers, what they have been given. Okay. Fine children, thank you all.